What existed when you were a child that doesn't exist now? Actual toy prizes in cereal boxes. Restaurant smoking sections. Card catalogs at the library. Phone books. Every once in a while one would just show up at our front door. A phone number you could call that just told you the time and weather. KB Toys. Who is one celebrity you think never deserved to be cancelled? Most of these names in this thread are gonna have to come with an explanation for why they got cancelled in the first place. I'm realizing just how badly I'm out of the loop in this thread lol. Well, the OG of this category. Fatty Arbuckle. Get accused of rape. Found innocent 3 times. Lastly with an apology. Career still fucked. Janet Jackson. Paul Rubens. Brendan Fraser. Called out a Hollywood exec for being a creep and he got blasted for it. I cannot tell you how happy I am that he's back in the spotlight. Edit. A lot of people are saying he was blacklisted, blackballed by the industry, whether it be studio heads, execs, or insiders. In my eyes that's just them canceling him so their dirty laundry doesn't get aired. Sinead O'Connor. Victims of insomnia that lasted years, what made it finally stop? My father had delayed sleep phase disorder. DSPD. Suffered badly with insomnia for 40 years until he retired and realized he slept fine but simply much later at night and into the morning. Psychotic break. Ever since, I've been sleeping 10 to 14 hours a night. I work graveyard shift. For some reason I sleep fine in the daytime. Just not at night. I was an owl in my last life. Ridiculously. One day it just did. I have no explanation for that. I had insomnia pretty much from birth to 30-ish. Then went through a phase of sleepwalking. And since then I've rarely had any trouble. I'm 52 now. I was young when I had consistent, years-long insomnia. The thing that kept me up most nights was obsessive, intrusive thoughts and anxieties. Eventually, honestly, it just got old. I was so tired of caring. I started what I called partitioning my brain and turning off those thoughts because they were exhausting. Now I know that this practice isn't exactly healthy, but it worked. And I started sleeping like a normal kid and my parents stopped wondering what was wrong with me. Edit. I was compartmentalizing. I just didn't have the word for it when I was a kid. Recently, I was told it was unhealthy to be doing it so frequently. But I'd still highly recommend doing it if the reward is sleep. I've got great news for all you insomniacs. It's only 2 more sleeps until Christmas. What are some laws everyone claims they agree should be changed, but no one is making any real effort to do so? Civil asset forfeiture. It is the legal highway robbery where cops can take your stuff, typically cash, without needing proof or charging you of a crime. The department often gets a percentage of the take from the feds. The only way you can get it back is to sue them for it. You'll probably spend more on legal fees than the money they stole. There is a little bit of movement on it in some states. But holy crap, that should never have been allowed in the first place. The Constitution protects us from unreasonable search and seizure. But apparently Congress made the loophole. Dental and vision should be covered by standard health insurance, not as separate policies. 1. Commercials on TVs are not allowed to be louder than the regular programming. It's illegal but hard to prove. 2. Supporting pollinator gardens, but people being okay with the fact that natural habitats don't look tidy. A little off the beaten path here, but junk mail. I know there are registry services available that can help reduce the amount of junk mail a person receives at their home address, but at a maximum. They only last 5 years and need to be renewed. And even that doesn't get you removed from all the junk mail lists. Just some of them. How many forests and trees are cut down and ground to pulp for paper ads in a mailbox that the recipient will most likely just throw in the garbage upon arrival every year? And the ink that the majority of them use are toxic. It's supremely wasteful, and it convinces almost no one of anything these days. If I need a dentist, I'll find a damn dentist. I don't need 3 ads in my mailbox every day for 3 different new dental offices. Coupons should be switched to in-app use, with rare exceptions for rural areas where internet is spotty. How much money could we save every year? How many trees would we save every year if we were to implement something like that? Lots. That's how many. Tax simplification. Gaping loopholes that allow lawmakers to accept bribes. What happened to the most popular kids in your school? Lawyer. Doctor. Current NBC anchor in Lubbock. Track and field coach for high school. Physical therapist. Engineer. Prison for involuntary vehicular manslaughter and DUI. My HS graduating class was 952 people. I do not even know who the most popular people were, lol. One of my best friends was from the wrong side of the tracks. Poor. Had a mullet and wore Metallica shirts way before they broke into mainstream. He was extremely popular because he was crazy smart, very talented and driven. Everyone wanted to be his friend, and he was very open about being nice to everyone. Many parents were like, "Don't hang out with that John Smith boy. He's on drugs and a bad influence." He absolutely was not. It was the satanic scare of the late 80s and 90s, and he liked metal music. He worked his ass off all his life and is now pretty damn wealthy with a house, wife and kids in California. When we chatted up on the phone, he is the exact same person I grew up with. Crazy funny and extremely kind. Small town. There are always exceptions. But most kids who were popular were friendly, outgoing, well-dressed, and emotionally stable. That happened because they came from families with more money and better educated parents. Those parents often provided better mentoring, ensured they went to college, and as a result the kids ended up professionals who did reasonably well for themselves. Most popular kid in our school was a guy named Josh. Insanely outgoing and friendly. He could befriend anyone he talked to within 5 seconds. And always did. Active athlete. Was on the football team. Straight A student. Very devout churchgoer. I didn't meet him until later in high school, where he was part of a Dungeons and Dragons game I joined. Always put on a great time role-playing. While we didn't get close, we had a couple extraordinarily memorable times during our senior year of high school. Very fun and meaningful times that stood out strongly to me then during a shitty part of my life, and are still remembered fondly by me 20 years later. Josh was going places, and he'd make a difference somewhere. We lost touch after high school. 3 years later he fell asleep behind the wheel of his truck and hit a tree. Died on impact. Found out through another friend who'd kept up with him. And we went to his funeral. I'd never seen a church so packed full of people for something like this. Hundreds and hundreds of people. From our school. From his church. From all over life. The church was legitimately full. To this day, one of my few true lifelong regrets is letting my anxiety get the better of me when Josh's pastor asked people to come up to the mic and say something about Josh. I should have told everyone of our ludicrous all-nighter digging his truck out of the mud in a forest. He'd gone mudding in after an evening school performance where we were all still in khakis and polos, finishing at 3 a.m. and somehow ending our bedraggled asses at IHOP after getting it out. I should have told everyone how we found out our D&D GM was moving away on short notice, and we hightailed it to his place after school and literally ran out of gas in that fucking truck. Getting there, then flooded the engine refilling it from a jerry can. Stuck with our GM who didn't want anyone coming to say goodbye and ending up late in the evening. laying in that truck bed talking about science and philosophy and religion. 3 teenage dudes waiting for that goddamn fucking truck to get to a drivable condition so we could say goodbye to our friend properly before he disappeared from our lives. I'm nearing 40, and I still regret not saying how great of a guy he was to a short, scrawny, long-haired metalhead weirdo like I was in high school. Because he was going to make a difference, I suppose. Given all the people at his funeral, he still did. I haven't been keeping tabs on anyone from my class save for myself. So I guess that makes me the most popular person in my class as far as I know. I'm not doing great. Subscribe, my brothers.